MJ, thanks so much for coming down. Thanks for being on.
I am happy to be here.
Will you have a drink?
Yes, I will.
Fantastic. we have this thing in common. It is sort of something that you do see replicated across experiential marketing, right? It's sort of like a lot of people find their way into their roles, right? And you and I are sort of of that camp. There isn't like, you don't go to university for experiential marketing. Can you give us a little bit of insight into, bring yourself forward, bring yourself from college, what you thought you were going to do and what you ended up doing?
Absolutely. So in college, I went to school for journalism and I thought I was going to be a lawyer of some sort. Did not go that path, obviously. Yeah. Here I am today. But in general, the whole trend throughout my schooling was I loved storytelling. I loved writing. I liked communicating. That was just always my passion. And I went to school for journalism, fell into strategic communications, and discovered copywriting and advertising. And when I graduated, I got my master's, kind of went a little bit deeper into that. And I was a copywriter at a traditional marketing firm right after I graduated. I did radio ads, TV ads, anything that you can think of like that.
Yeah.
And it was so fun. But I was kind of missing the person-to-person, part of that. And I applied for a job at EA to be a copywriter here because I love the idea of scripting people for events or doing copy that was kind of people actually interacted with in a completely different way. It was more of a journey.
Yeah.
Came here, I did that, and then I was kind of poached to the strategy team.
And when you were a kid, was storytelling your thing? In elementary school, were you a story writer or a story reader? You were cooking up fabulous narratives your whole life?
Oh my gosh, my entire life. I was always a kid who was either in a corner reading a book or I was telling you some story, and my stories would, every single time I would retell them, and honestly, still today, there's a new layer added or a new element or something else there. Yes.
So great.
I think that one of the coolest parts of working in experiential is you got to figure out what makes people tick, what makes them excited, what gets them, passionate about a brand that you're trying to show them. And I got so into the psychology of that and just thinking about how to get people to come along for the journey. And copywriting, it stopped allowing me to do that the way that I wanted to. And there was this opportunity in the strategy department to kind of basically switch careers and start focusing a little bit more on that element. And I decided to do it. And instead of sticking in copywriting and maybe getting a different promotion or something, I was all right, I'm going to do a lateral move and kind of start over. Yeah. And it was so fun.
And to their credit, they're very open in EA to that.
Oh my gosh, my boss and my VP, they were thrilled.
They're let's do it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Copy is still central to what I do as a strategist and a creative director now. So it's all about how I communicate, right? And I'm still telling the stories and I'm still, communicating with either audiences or clients in different ways. But instead of just doing all of the writing, I'm weaving that story into the design elements, the spatial elements, the motion, whatever it is. And it's just it feels it's part of a bigger picture now.
Your inherent skill set has been given multiple applications where before it was quite focused. Now you can see the sort of the transferability of skill.
Yes.
And I think that the industry is quite like that. I think that there's no set recipe for what makes a perfect creative strategist. There's no set recipe for what makes a business development exec or whatever it is. There's just inherent qualities that you can that can be picked up from a myriad of different sources and ways.
I think that's so true, and I think that it's interesting that our past experiences. Nobody in this industry, to your point, I think you said this earlier, no one goes to school and they're I'm going to work in events, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have this super interesting niche where I do corporate events, B2B events or something like that. And I think that journalism helped me with figuring out the right questions to ask people to get the root of a problem. And I feel that's really served me well in strategy and creative direction to know the right questions to ask and how to start wrapping my head around a big picture and get down to the finite details. And it sounds like you had the same experience with like elementary school teaching.
You seem like you're the person who's having fun in their work, and you bring in enthusiasm. And to me, it's like, it's one of those like rare sort of inherent traits or gifts in this scenario where it's like you do so much for the team just by bringing a positive energy.
Thank you so much for that. That means a lot. I think that's always been my personality, and I feel like it's like a perspective thing. It's like work is supposed to be fun. We do this for at least 40 hours, if not more, per week. And why would we not enjoy the people we're working with, the work we do? We get to work with some of the coolest clients around. Why wouldn't we have fun doing that and bring that energy and everything into our work? So for me, I feel like it's easy, but I also think that it's one of the reasons I didn't go into journalism or anything was because I become so hyper obsessed with like my work sometimes, and I just like, I get into it, I drink the Kool-Aid, I will become your #1 super fan, and I will want to like connect with your audiences and bring all these different levels of like engagement to it. So I'm 100% biased, and I'm okay with that. And I feel like that's a fun part of working here. You can be biased, and you can be like your brand's super fan.
The enthusiasm also kind of yields like really solid practical results where you kind of get shit done.
I love that, especially the get shit done part, because that is another one of my mottos right there.
Yeah. And you do it. I have one little gift for you. So
Okay.
behind you, we're sort of starting to build up a wonder wall of our little guests in this little mini pod. And I have prepared a little image. It's sort of my mind's conception of you. Now, let me tell you. Now, this is an AI-generated image. Now, but let me.
You didn't make this yourself.
I did not, and I see now that it's kind of shifting out of its frame.
We'll fix that.
Let me tell you its prompt. Okay, the prompt is: MJ should be kayaking down a river of words with ideas on either bank.
It's perfect.
What do you think?
What a wonderful use of AI.
Thank you very much.
So I just...
You should try and stick it. You should try and stick it somewhere low if you could.
Perfect.
Thank you, MJ. You are the very best. We love you.
Thank you. All right. Good work. We did it.